Hello everybody. Pull up a seat and get ready because we are going to be streaming top 8 Apex Arena action. Starting in approximately 3.5 minutes. It's an interesting round. The game we're going to be focusing on first is Trinhuv versus Keu. Two very strong players, very strong accounts that have been around for a long, long time. Yeah, I heard you, Kong. So, also probably the most evenly matched. Although it's really hard to say, because Jayden Nelson, who is fighting against Autorun, has really stormed onto the scene. He's a Luciris Gate player. And when that happens, it's really hard to say if those players are being piloted or not, or if they're just really good. And in either case, if they're really good or if they're piloted, it's really hard to judge how they're going to do against an established player like Autorun. Same thing with 7th Heaven Up Appa versus FSN Saber. Saber's been around for a while. Up Appa won the championship last year. And Kazgao and Ichiao are both also strong players who have been around for a while as well, so pretty evenly matched there as well. I think it's a very interesting top 8, and whoever wins here will it'll really set the stage for some good matches next weekend. So let us just get ourselves set here. Don't forget, if you are just joining, place your bets. You have about 2 minutes left to place your bets. You just go to the Apex Arena Matches UI and make sure you have some tickets. Click on the player that you want to bet on. And if you don't manage to bet, you'll also be able to bet next week as well. Your tickets will carry over for sure. Okay. Alright, I've got YouTube in action, I've got Twitch in action, so I'll be able to catch all y'all's chats while the game is on. And it looks like we're going to be able to jump into a match in about 10 seconds. And we're going to hope... We only had one forfeit yesterday, one forfeit in the top 16. We're going to hope we have no forfeits in the top 8. That would be pretty catastrophic, I think. And the forfeit yesterday was Trinhuv's opponent, so we didn't actually get a chance to see Trin in this latest round. So, oh, I better uncover my screen as well. Welcome to visibility, everyone. Okay, so we're just waiting for both players to join. I always find it funny, it never really tells us who we're waiting on. I'm sure both players are going to join up. But it looks like a fairly typical meta box. Trin does have Elaine in here, and Trin also has Oboro going in to start with Oboro. Similarly, Keu has a fairly meta box. One of the flex units he's running is Kyra. Yeah, there's a strategist in the other side of the bracket as well. Kazgao is also in the strategy squad. What do I think about weapons for Awakener? I think I like the weapons that I put in her Should You Summon video. The ones that I mentioned being the common picks for her would be Red Moon and Night Bloom. Night Bloom, I mean, it's similar to the case for Tenyo's headdress. It's more similar to using Night Bloom on, like, T-Jess, for example, where you can get multiple actions with her teleport. Same with Awakener, you get multiple actions with her little swap mechanic, so it's multiple opportunities to strip debuffs. Scepter's also obviously an option if you're planning on running single target skills. Alright, so the players do have, I believe it's 5 minutes. No, it can't be 5 whole minutes. Maybe it is 5 minutes to join. Oh, it looks like they both joined anyway. I was going to say, sometimes players will leave it to the last minute to join for psychological warfare. But at this level, these guys are professionals. They don't need to resort to that kind of trick. So we will see once this timer counts down what map we're going to get, who's going to be player 1, and then we can get started with Pick and Ban. And see how both of these players want to approach things. If they want to face off against an Awakener, or if they want to face off against a Rosen tank box. Yeah, I mean, AoEing the other team down has been a strategy for a long time. It's hard if you have to fight against Rosenseal, because she makes her reactive healing can help your team bounce back from AoEs a little bit more easily. Same with Kyra, like what Meow was talking about a couple comments ago. The other thing is, if you just have a bunch of AoE mages, their threat range doesn't tend to be the best, not all of them anyway. So you run into a situation where you need to be able to engage with basically your whole team before the enemy can start picking off your units. It can make it tricky. Okay, so it looks like we are going to have Keu as player 1 for the first game, and we're going to be on Winter Hideaway. So let's see. And Trin is going to go with that first ban of AO. Rather not tempt fate and play against a more familiar box at least, although I'm sure players like Keu and Trin have been getting lots of scrims in since AO released, so they're probably at least familiar with how she plays and how to play against her. Okay, Keu, for his part, is going to make the obvious first pick of Rosen in response to this, but he's banning out Trin's Rosen, so this is going to test. Doesn't want to fight against a tanky, reactive healing box. This gives Trin the opportunity to pick his AO first. And I guess we're going to see if Trin has a 6-star AO. If he doesn't first pick her here, it might be kind of calling the bluff. Okay, so Trin's not going to go with a first pick AO. That's fine. First pick AO, as we saw a little bit yesterday against a Rosenseal box, tends not to be the best anyway. Grenshiel, probably the best pick here. Really strong counterpick to a tank. And Trin's Grenshiel, at least, is going to be super strong for sure. So for Trin's part, he is banning out the one tank that he doesn't want paired up with that Rosenseal. He's allowing Keu to have the choice between Landius and Hilda. Fairly typical move. Keu is going to go with the Landius. He's got a couple extra little buffs in there. I believe Adankelmo, McLean, for example, are both ELS. Eternal Youth for this pick and ban line, the kind of Rosen and AO first pick, you really only need the one healer because either you're picking her first or you're not. I'm sure we're still going to see a lot of players who really favor that kind of pure turtle style, still running multiple healers to make sure they can run, like, you know, actually deploy 2 healers to keep their team alive. But the meta box, at least for the next bit, is Rosen and 3 tanks. Yeah, Meow, to your point about calling the bluff with no AO ban, we're going to see if Trin goes with a second pick AO here. Again, I feel like she's probably not the best. Yeah, Trin's just going with killers. So he's going to want to either shut down that Landius with Grenshiel or just kill stuff through it. McLean, people still sometimes underestimate what a good single-target assassin he is. He's very strong. Okay, so finally Keu shuts down the AO and also gets Oboro out of there, another good, strong single-target guard-ignoring killer. Keu picks up his own McLean, so there's going to be some tile wars here. And McLean has that nice faction buff from Landius. Wouldn't be surprised to see Trinhuv still keep picking some more of these single-target killers, like a Gintoki, for example. Possibly even the Elaine. Edenkelmo, also pretty good. D-Heart, yeah, D-Heart's another good option, although Landius kind of screws with his ability to crit, which can be the make or break for D-Heart securing kills. Keu gonna get rid of him, though. Lucretia, nice pick for Keu. I really like Lucretia with a McLean and a tank, because she can stay safe with the tank and just use the golem to keep McLean's cooldowns nice and low. So that could be an element that helps Keu win the tile wars here, if it comes to McLean versus McLean tiling. Keu's McLean is going to have the benefit of that golem getting his water up more often. So Trin is going to late pick a tank at least. Keu's probably going to want D-Heart here. I can't imagine wanting to be saddled with 2 tanks with this kind of comp. Okay, that shows what I know. I mean, I suppose what Hilda brings to the table is more anti-crit. And in case one of his tanks gets busted by one of these strong units, he'll have a backup tank. It also makes position a little bit easier when you're against Grenshiel, because you can position in such a way that Grenshiel can't shut down both your tanks. She can only shut down one. And then you still have the other tank guarding, so that Trinhuv can't get a free kill. So Trin has a little bit more of an aggressive box, or a little bit more of an aggressive team, rather, than Keu does. Keu with just the 2 main DPS. One of them, you know, that Lucretia, who's very supportive, can bring AoE as well. Pretty good against Trinhuv, who does not have a healer right now. The other DPS on Keu's side is the McLean, who is a strong single-target unit who can threaten a lot of Trin's units. Trin, on the other hand, has 4 really strong physical DPS and 1 tank. The Landius does buff Gintoki and McLean on Trin's side at least. And Dirt. I don't want to pronounce your name as Dirt in case it's not supposed to be Dirt, but thank you for the Prime sub. You've gone to Pity 3 times on AO, and you got Transcender twice. Oh my gosh. Well, congratulations on getting Transcender at least, and you joined me in the Triple Pity Club on the AO banner. The Club of Shame going pity, pity, pity. At least you didn't have Transcender already. That's fun to get new units, even if it's a crap unit. But I like them. Alright, here we go. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we're rolling out with. Very unsurprising to see both of Keu's tanks running cavalry troops, because we do have Elaine and Gintoki on the other side. Shouldn't be any surprises here. So yeah, we have double single target and black hole. Yeah, no surprises at all on Keu's side. Yeah, I agree, Eternal Youth. I think this is kind of last hurrah for Elaine. Like, the players who built Elaine want to see her do well. This'll be a real good chance for us to see if that happens with Trin. Trin's a good player, he's got a good Elaine. It's a good opportunity to see what she can do. But I don't see her lasting too much longer into the Leon era. Yeah, Pete, the hoplites on Gin, kind of a no-brainer. Trin knowing that he's going to be facing 2 tanks with cavalry units. Or at least predicting that he's going to. Yeah, if Trin... I mean, Trin knowingly gave Keu first pick Rosen, so he knew what he was getting into. He knew he was going to be fighting against a strong, tanky comp. The question is whether giving Keu a second tank comes back to bite him in the ass or not. You know, the Gren team could kind of handle 1 tank, but let's see if he's able to kind of counter the 2-tank formation. Alright, so the tile wars have already begun. Trin with a little bit of flexibility on positioning here, because he knows that Keu is going to want to stick with his group. Grenshield just getting her faction buff up and also benefiting from a nice breeze there. Why is Rosen so good? Is she a must-pull for PvE? Well, she's really good because her talent gives your team these stacks that prevent incoming debuffs. So every time someone casts what would have been a debuff on you, it just takes off a Rosen Seal stack instead. I would say she's definitely a must-pull for PvP. For PvE, it's a little bit more flexible just because PvE is easier, and there are other good healers. So, you know, you can definitely get by with Tiaris as your main healer in PvE. Or you can get by with Liana as your main healer in PvE. But Rosen is really good in PvE. There are certain challenges. There are a lot of situations where you definitely don't want your team to get debuffed. And just plopping Rosen Seal down, like, eliminates entire mechanics from certain fights. So it can definitely make things easier for you. Curious Cat. I don't know if I would say they're rigged, but I've definitely seen a lot of people share stories about having good luck after not pulling for a while. It might just be... You know, it might just be anecdotally that that's what we notice from people. But it's nice to have good luck when you come back from after, you know, not playing for a while. I think getting both collab units and Awakener, it'll help get you back on the horse after a bit of a break. I'm one of these people, though, who thinks that Zilong should be way more generous with free stuff, especially for new players. Like, they should be giving away pick any SSR for free. You know, give away tons of Anarchy materials, tons of summoning materials for new player, so that they can go in and just, like, summon a bunch. You know, feel like you're going crazy summoning, and it gives you that nice, satisfying feeling of, like, actually engaging with the gacha mechanic in the game. And worst case scenario is a bunch of those people quit, and then it's like, Zilong didn't lose anything from giving you free stuff. Okay, so Lucretia already taking her first shot at this Landius. Comes very close to taking his first life. Now the thing is, Trin has no way of healing this up. So he's basically, I mean, with a comp like Trin's, your tank is really a temporary stopgap anyway. He's not in this fight to eat a bunch of hits. He's in this fight to basically die twice and let the rest of your team get into position. Whereas on Keu's side, with this Rosen, Lucretia doesn't have to worry too much about that damage, because she'll eventually get healed up. Trin definitely going to be looking for an opening here. One thing that's tricky about engaging with Grinshiel is you want to make sure that you can get at least close enough that you can drop her shield on one of the tanks before you engage. So it does require you to be a little bit closer. She lost her breeze there too, so... Keu's probably just going to be happy to stay back and maybe take another poke with Lucretia next turn. Cobra Gaming, welcome to the chat. Still early in the game, early in Game 1. Yeah, Eternal Youth, I agree. Maybe not just with the idea of more offensive tanks, but at least get a little bit more creative with tanks. Like, there are other ways that your tank can tank, you know what I mean? Not like we really have dodge tanking in this game, but... I mean, even Betty was an interesting idea of having, like, a revenge tank or a punishment tank. Other than the fact that she's just not good. Like, if you take the Betty design idea and then tweak it... Alright, so this was a move just to convert some tiles. Obviously that did no damage whatsoever, thanks to Rose and Seal. These are both juicy, juicy McLeans. Trin's has a little bit of a hit point advantage. Keu's has a tiny attack and defense advantage. Yeah, Delilah talking about being a new level 30, and if you don't have a faction buff, you really hit a wall in PvE. I think that's why they introduced those new map events that give you a free faction buffer, basically. So that event came into the game like with the last update, I believe, and it's just in the game now. So whenever you have a new account that gets up to a certain level, I think it must be level 30, you kind of unlock that like little tutorial set of map events where you can pick an SSR faction buffer at the end of it. So that's to help get new players under their feet who, if they didn't really understand how important faction buffs are, it's like, here, faction buffs are important. Take one of these characters and build a team around them. She can't disable both tanks right now. I mean, the other thing is she really can't reach. It depends on how new you're talking about, Youth. New players have to grind their way up through the Anarchy levels before they're even really getting decent materials or upgrading decent units. But it's definitely something they have to stay on top of. Troops are important even early in the game. Yeah, exactly, Curious Cat. Don't say no to a free unit. Even if you already have all of them, like that was the case for me. I just picked one of the units that I needed extra shards for. Pawn Langrisser in here cheering for Keu. Chewing for Keu. We got some Keu fans in the house. So Keu, again, really hanging back. At least till the fog gets up here. Same thing with Trin, kind of keeping his Gintoki at the ready back here. Threatening a bit with the Gren, even though she can't reach right now. As we saw on turn 1, she's basically one breeze away from being threatening. Trin's also going to have to be careful of these anti-act again tiles, though, so depending on where he goes with Gren. Well, Roberto, the nice thing about those characters that you've got is that once you get to the end game and AO gets her faction buff, she basically buffs herself. Leon buffs himself. Watham doesn't really even need a faction buff because, again, his sword, his 3C, buffs himself. And Tiaris doesn't really care about a buff because she's a healer, so you could kind of go any way you wanted to. Probably at least for now, in the early game, building around Leon would be the safest because you have access to a free tank with Vargas. So Vargas with Tiaris, keeping him healed up. Leon with his faction buff, and then just like Watham and AO doing their thing. That's a pretty strong team. Okay, Keu is finally going to open things up here. The McLean versus McLean battle rages on. Taking the first life off Trin's McLean. 'Cause 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 'C So, I mean, potentially Trin could take the first life off this McLean as well in answer. I don't think Bozel's in the free group of faction buffers, unfortunately. Alright, McLean moving back to safety. Getting some healing thanks to parking close to this Rosenseal. He's not at 100 though. So it looks like Trin is going to go for it. Bearing in mind that he can't get a crit on this. Trin almost out of backup time as well. He's the player, I mean, Keu doesn't have to think about his positioning at all in this early stage of the match, so Trinhuv has really been spending all of his time thinking about where to put his characters, how far ahead he can afford to put them to try to get an opening. Okay, so Trin is not going to go for the assassination attempt here. He's just going to lay down some more tiles, put a little bit of extra damage on this McLean. Yeah, Dirt, I mean, I think one of the things about Maya is that she's a one-trick pony, so like, she can clear terrain, that's fine, but she doesn't really bring much else other than that, whereas so many of the other players that terrain is a factor for, like, if you're concerned about terrain, you can just overwrite terrain with your own terrain. We're seeing that with SP Leon, we're seeing that with Tile Wars with McLean versus McLean, we're seeing that with Polyol, for example. Cucumber, the only thing stopping us from running Hashiba is running Hashiba. He's only unbalanced in our minds. So this Rosen is only being guarded by Landius right now, but the problem is she's very far away from Grenshiel. And she's about to be defended by Fog as well. Righteous Freed! Keeping us updated in the chat, Jayden Nelson took game 1 off of Autorun. So Jayden up 1-0 on Autorun. Autorun, several-time Apex champion. Jayden Nelson, a Lushyrus Gate account, so fairly new to Apex. And at least Juicy from yesterday has claimed that Jayden is not piloted, that he's playing his own account. So take that for what you will. Yeah, Venorion, the betting odds were very heavily in Autorun's favor. Josh saying that Ichao is up 1-0 on Kazgao as well. in an AO versus AO match. Maybe we'll put that match on after this one's over, even if we have to watch a replay of it, because I think that would be interesting. Kazgao plays some interesting units, too. Okay, Trin is going to make a play here. It looks like his only real target, though, is this McLean. The Hilda is shut down currently. Landius is fine. Landius is guarding these. Oh, right, with Air Slash, she can get rid of the Golem. The Golem's an easy kill there. So that kill on the Golem, it seems kind of inconsequential, but one nice thing about it for Trin's positioning is it takes a lot of the threat range from this Lucretia. So Trin can squeeze in a little bit better. Alright, and goes with the double Elaine to finish off this McLean. Nice. So that Grenshiel putting in work. Gren's just going to die here to an easy Hilda Kilda. And now we have an activated Gintoki on Trin's side. Activated and faction buffed. Elaine gonna run back and wait for a better opportunity later. One of Q's 2 DPS is dead, and it's the one that had the guard ignore, so even though Landius is hurt here, only has 1 life left, it does mean that, well, not like he's guarding any of Trin's team right now, so that doesn't really come into play. With Grenshiel dead, though, and Q's 2 tanks still up, the only way Trin has to mitigate those tanks is with the guard ignore from his injured McLean, or just by killing them. I mean, he's going to have to kill them at some point anyway, right? But killing 2 tanks with auras through Rosenseal is still hard. We're going to find out very soon if McLean can kill Lucretia. Not quite yet. Unless Lucretia decides to kill McLean first. Remember that this McLean has already lost his first life. Trin, I really like his playstyle here. He's playing back, really watching positioning, and letting the fog creep up and pressure Keu. Alright, and Trinhuv with only 4 seconds left on backup time. That is going to make some execution potentially complicated. At this stage of the game, though, he definitely has a battle plan cooked up, and he's basically just going to need to stick with it. Not much time left to think. Well, Roberto, one nice thing is Grenshiel will be able to faction buff Vargas as well, because she's Strategic Masters. She'll be able to faction buff Leon, too, eventually. Alright, time is just about there to see what Trin has up his sleeve. Still playing patient. Definitely going to be looking for an opportunity to somehow kill this Lucretia if possible. The strength of the single target Lucretia is that if Trin spreads out, it does give him a way to potentially kill this Gintoki. Alright, here's the attempt. Is it going to work through the auras? Multiple auras? No, it is not going to work. It was a bit of a tall order. So Lucretia is fine. Keu still has healing available, and the McLean has managed to counterkill himself. I mean, I think he had to try it. Having the guard ignore and Keu having 1 DPS, like, that move was coming at some point anyway, right? Yeah, Meow, potentially the Tenyo proc saved him. Tenyos have a habit of doing that kind of thing. Yeah, Trin's really only move now is just to hope that he can blast through both those tanks and their healing with these 2 DPS, which seems like a tall order to me. Because whoever he moves in with is going to get pelted by this Lucretia. Soda egging people on in the chat. He doesn't want to see his own name on the tip leaderboards anymore. Speaking of which, I did post a community post about Freekong with this anniversary or half anniversary, whatever you want to call it. The shard bags are back, and the only freebie that Freekong is missing is Bozel. So I once again open the door to whoever wants to donate the very last freebie on the list. Freekong's unit collection will officially be complete if someone donates a Bozel shard bag. And if you're planning on doing that anyway, I mean, the shard bag is $20, but if you do want to bump Soda's tip off the leaderboards, you know, you could go $22.51 if you wanted to. Yeah, Lucretia already back to full power. This is just thinking time for Trin at this point. We're going to see... He's probably figuring out his game plan. We're going to see what a 1-2 punch can do here first, though, before the game is over. Oh, Freekong doesn't summon. So there will be no getting anything from any Bozel banner. Ooch. Silence on the Elaine is not happy. I mean, no debuffs are happy at this point, really. Gold Magistrate with the 5 bits. Yeah, Vano, I think this was game a few turns ago, to be perfectly honest. Well, GM, that makes me realize I'm going to have to put a bit counter on my overlay here soon. You're not getting the recognition you deserve. Yeah, this is all thinking time for Trin now. So a long-ish game, but Trin was not able to crack through the Rosen and double tank setup. I think ultimately the problem was that he had a lot of DPS, but he didn't really have a way to get in and make them effective. The Grenshiel was a strong first pick, and definitely a strong option, but against 2 tanks it was tough. She was effective in taking out the Golem and the McLean, or, you know, causing the McLean to go down. But ultimately that alone wasn't enough, and the rest of Trin's DPS couldn't do anything. So I would not be surprised if we see some adjustments here. Not necessarily in the box, but in the pick and ban strategy. So Trin as player 1, we're going to be on the Gemini Bridge map. So we've got some water here, we've got some forts, we've got some terrain for Lostum to hook around on. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, Meow, for Trin to pivot to a Rosen ban. Gold Magistrate, Landius was picked on Keu's side because Lightbringer was banned, and Landius was picked on Trin's side because he was a faction buffer. Watermelon soda. I usually run the watermelon soda in the summer. I haven't picked up a case in a while, though. I'm going to have to. It was like 28 degrees here today. Super, super hot. And the poor Dobermans. I mean, the Dobermans, obviously they're black and they get hot really easily. But the older one actually loves it. Like, she'll go out and lay in the sun until you can see steam coming off her. She's cooking so hard. Applesauce doesn't like it as much. Okay, so Trin is bringing up Agnes and Archon. We're also going to see Archon on Keu's side. So both players seeing this water map and figuring, hey, why not see what we can make Archon do? Keu sticking with the AO first ban. Alright, this is the moment. Let's see if Trin's going to change strategy here. Oh, Trin's going to go with the first ban, Gren, and pick the Rosenseal first. That's not a bad strategy. That's pretty good, because Trin knows from his own experience and his own strategy of first picking Gren into like a Rosen tank team. If that's what Trin's going to be playing, with his first pick Rosenseal, he doesn't want to be up against a Grenshiel. This does leave Keu with the choice, though, whether he wants to first pick his Rosenseal and go with a similar strategy as last time, or first pick his AO. I wouldn't expect to first pick AO into... Oh, he's going with first pick Liana. Not even a first pick Rosen. He still had her available. So he leaves Lightbringer up for Trinhuv, banning out the Hilda and banning out the Zed too. Banning out Hilda over Lightbringer makes me suspect that something about Hilda's kit is going to get in the way of his strategy that he wants to go with in this game. And the two things that Hilda does that Lightbringer doesn't really do as well are totally shutting down crits and her anti-act again terrain. So Keu may be hoping to rely on assassins. He may be hoping to rely on something like... Yeah, I was going to say Archon's displacement, but Trinhuv is not going to have that. Not going to stand for it. Joa and Connie often used in PvP. I would not say often. I've definitely seen them a couple times, though. One of the earlier matches we watched, I think, was it Ichao who played Joa and Connie? Anyway, people have been using them for sure. Okay, so Keu is going to get Hilda out, which essentially shuts down Trin's Archon. Or definitely makes him way lower of a priority. He's still a DPS. But he's not going to be doing any pulling shenanigans against that Hilda. Okay, Trin getting Gren as well, so this is looking like a really nice comp for Trin in this game. Oh, and Keu going with his McLean again, rather than AO or even like Z2 here. I wonder if Trin's going to call the bluff and leave the AO up? This is kind of the time to get rid of her. Don't play this game, but this looks interesting. Yeah, you know what? It's a surprisingly interesting mobile game. Like, on its face, it's basically just a grid-based tactical game, but the PvP element, at least, has a lot of depth to it. So this pick and ban phase, it's real-time PvP, so both these players are playing at the same time, and you basically have a lot of control over what units you're playing and your enemy's playing. And it can lead to a lot of tactical variety. So this is playoffs, so these are two of the strongest players on the server. So, I mean, if you're just playing regular season against someone like me who's not as good, the tactical variety can sometimes be like some hilarious meme-worthy stuff. But these guys are good players. There's that AO, Meow. There's that AO that you wanted to see. Especially with taking out Trin's second healer as well. So Trin's really only going to be able to rely on Rosen, and he's left with either a second tank in Landius or an Archon who can't pull. So he is going to go with the Landius. It is at least another buff. It is some more aura. Landius is also a fairly competent DPS when he needs to be. But Keu getting Polyol here as well, so... This is actually going to be a really interesting match. The McLean's a strong pick on this map. He has lots of water available to him. And Trin doesn't really have any tile counterplays, although someone like Grenshiel is not affected by the tiles. Yeah, Polly can definitely bring guard. And that is going to be something that potentially throws a wrench into Trin's plan. The other thing is that the D-Heart, like we mentioned at the start of Game 1, who really relies on being able to get a critical hit, especially against... These are some thick units on Q's side. With Hilda shutting down that crit capability, it's going to be difficult for D-Heart, or it's at least going to limit his options. But we'll see what he can do. Seeing lots of Guardian Infantry to help against the shining EOL Awakened one. This EOL skin, I'm not super sold on that. I mean, ultimately, this is what AO is here for, is basically just, like, shutting the door on this D-Heart and Grenshiel right at the start of this game here. Nerfing their mobility. Oh yeah, this is kind of looking rough for Trin right at the start. Yeah, there's that tank ability on Polly. I mean, there's no question that this is going to be 6 stars, yeah. But yeah, Pawn Langrisser mentions, first day Keu's AO was 10k plus. Not surprised by that at all, considering my AO is only 4 stars and she's like 9800, so I can imagine a well-built 6-star one very easily cracks that 10k. Yeah, JB Famine, he may not care just because he's, you know, he's a tank team. He may not be planning to engage for the next 2 turns anyway, so he'll burn this debuff off. He'll get Rosen stacks up, and then it won't really matter when the time actually comes to engage. Avengers. Keu is building a wall. He's gonna make Trin pay for it. It's definitely easier to see how Keu opens the engagement than to see how Trin opens the engagement. Because we are going to have some Awakener Meteorites. Polly can also rush in. McLean can follow up. We've got an Act again from Liana as well. That first pick Liana was no accident, remember. The Act again play was always at the forefront of Keu's mind. Okay, so we get a breeze on the Grenshiel just as the awakened chains wear off, so that is going to give some flexibility to this Grenshiel here. Unless Keu closes the door, he can shut down both tanks with a Grenshield right here. That's the thing, Avengers. Act Again is such a powerful skill that, you know, it's kind of single-handedly kept Liana relevant. Freed going bananas in my chat. What's going on here? Jayden 4-stack Oboro. Awakener reviving. It's down to the wire. Freed, you're kind of talking like you put 12 tickets on Jayden. Let us know in the chat where your tickets went. Yeah, Trinhuv doesn't need to worry about Polyall stun as long as he still has Rosenseal alive with lots of stacks, but if Keu's able to burn off those stacks with other AoEs, or kill the Rosen. So I would fully expect to see Keu plop another unit here to prevent that double tank disable. Awakener's here, plugging that hole. So Liana could go there, McLean could go there. He may not want to bring Liana too close up, just in case, like, D-Heart could get a kill on her. But the Grenshield did not bring a ranged attack either. Hey Car, welcome to listen along while doing Lang dailies for sure. I'd be doing dailies if my account wasn't currently well occupied watching Apex. Actually, you know what I would be doing is playing the new Ragnarok of the Realms maps. I've been super lazy and have not completed them yet, so I'm going to want to do that probably after this stream is over. Freed, don't leave us hanging. Where were your tickets? Who did you bet on? With Freed, you can never tell if it's because he has a lot of money on the line or if it's because he just wants to see Autorun lose. Queue for tickets. Ah, okay. Will D-Heart go for an AO kill? I mean, he certainly could. We've got Crystal Warlocks. I did not look at Q's on the leaderboard to see how she's built. Autorun 1, Game 2. Okay, interesting. So it's going into Game 3. Overtime. The demoralizing thing about killing AO is that even if D-Heart gets the kill and survives, you still have to kill her again. And it's not easy to kill an Awakener clone when she's being guarded and your D-Heart is already spent. So that was one of the reasons in yesterday's game, for anyone who was watching the stream yesterday, when Juicy had the choice, when he went in with Zerida and had the choice of who he wanted to attack. And he could have attacked AO, but he went for the Grenshield instead and didn't get the kill. And he said it was because it didn't even matter if he got the kill on AO because she was just going to come back. So she gets into your head. This is nerve-wracking. So Trin's units are all in position to get meteored next turn, if that's what Keu wants to go with. Unlikely that McLean kills this shielded up, buffed up Grenshield on terrain with auras. but she is available. I guess with the act again. Yeah, it looks like he's not going to go for that, because McLean would have been a big part of that. Alright, so let's see if Keu wants to burn his AA this turn. I don't see it. He's going to want to keep it for a combo play. But every time I make a confident prediction about one of Keu's moves, he proves me wrong, so let's find out. Yeah, there's no reason to do anything there. He'd just be opening nothing. So Trin knows that he's about to eat meteors and a McLean, so this is the time for him to make a move. The McLean is only being guarded by 1 unit, so if this Hilda were shut down, McLean would be a target, but he's on water and he has a revive, so it's not exactly super easy or worth it. Trin keeping his valuable actions for later. Everyone's still well guarded. Okay, D-Hard just hanging back. This is Trin basically inviting Keu to make the first move. So just a little pop there. Didn't waste the meteors yet. Trin saving Grenshield for last, just in case Keu decides to give her something to do. Will we see the act again? I mean, the Grenshield is still on the table. Goes with McLean first. That unshields Grenshield. She's just gonna wait and hang out on the terrain. She doesn't get her shield back yet. But she's not at 100% either. His guard ignore skill is down right now. So, no waste of the AA yet either. The only thing about meteors now is that it's hard to get, like, to ensure that a bunch of them go on the Grenshield. Trin doing a lot better with his backup time in this game, that's nice. This is going to be a real standoff. Are you taking notes, Freed? This is going to be your whole next season. Yeah, definitely admire Keu's patience. I mean, he knows he's not in a rush. There's nothing that's really pressuring him to commit to a move before he needs to, or before the conditions are right. That frontal assault, ensuring that Polyol goes down, she goes down for good. That's a good move. And the other guard is going to be down for a bit. So the question is, what can Trin get out of this next turn? Leitrosu, thank you for the follow. Enjoy your Seal Guardian. Alright, here we go. Meteor time. Alright, Trin has decent luck on the meteors there. They only bring Grenshield down to about half. Landius ate his fair share there. Hilda's not guarding. So we do have some available targets for either weak Grenshield or D-Heart to run in and try to make an attempt on someone. Gren's going to go back and recover first. No need to overextend, I suppose, on Trin's side. But at the same time, you don't want to let this opportunity slip away. You've got your Grenshield on the field. McLean keeping some oppressive water down as well. D-Heart at least got that breeze, so that's going to help him deal with terrain a little bit. Alright, what is D-Heart going to be able to do here? He does fully kill that McLean. Wow. And gets the stun on Hilda. Okay, Keu's not going to bother wasting any more time on that match. Wow, that was a really interesting execution on Trin's side. A really good use of frontal assault to take out the Polyol, so he didn't have to worry about her tanking ability still being there, you know, after a revive. So we are going to be going into Game 3, overtime once again. Keu as player 1, same map. That happens so much. Let's see if either player is going to change their box for the big match. Winner take all here now. The chat reporting that Up Appa won his own match 2-0. Yep, and Autorun versus Jayden Nelson, they are in Game 3. So just waiting for sidebox decisions from both these players. Just checking my Concord notifications, and I see that it's just a message that I am streaming, which, I mean, I already knew that. So did we get any... Oh, okay, here we go. Keu is dropping Archon, Liana, and Polyol, bringing back up the Kyra and the Oboro. And losing his AO first here. So we'll see, is Keu going to go with a Rosen tank team again, like he did in Game 1? Poor Agnes. I mean, dropping Agnes for Liana as player 2, pretty good tactic. But I'm sad we didn't get to see her in action. Oh, interesting, and Keu goes for the first ban Grenshiel this time, after seeing that Trinhuv really likes first picking her against Rosenseal. Keu decides he doesn't want to have to try to think about that. Doesn't want to deal with it at all. So let's see what Trin's reaction to that move is going to be. Yeah, with banning out the Grenshiel there, it certainly looks like Trin is setting himself up for his own little tank ball team. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Rosen first picked here. The ban on the Hilda is also going to get Keu starting to think about banning Archon, because he's not going to want to leave Archon in as a potential assassin. That said, I don't think Trin needs to first pick Archon or anything like that. Trin gonna go for the same strategy that Keu went for in the previous game. First picking Liana. Getting an Act Again play loaded up. Let's see if Trin has better luck with this strategy. I mean, he did preemptively ban the Grenshiel as well, so we're having a Grench-free game here. Keu banning the Lightbringer, not surprising. You know, Meow, that may be exactly it. Okay, so Keu gets the Landius. So far, 2 of the units that Trin had in his position last time. Trin now banning down some dangerous DPS, the Oboro, the Z2. McLean, Gintoki, still scary DPS as well. Freed, Autorun made a huge mistake. I love these headline banner notifications in the chat, Freed. You gotta keep it up. Yeah, Meow, I mean, maybe Keu's thinking he gets Lightbringer as well. If I'm Keu, I'd rather pick one of my prime DPS here. McLean, definitely a good choice. Possibly the Lando pick preemptively to buff the McLean, who knows? Freed... Oh, I was gonna say, if that game is somehow still on when this one ends, we'll definitely go watch the tail end of it, but there's no way that game is still gonna be on. But we'll definitely, I said we would watch a replay of the Kazgao and Ichiao match, but now, from the sounds of things, I'm feeling like we should watch the replay of the Autorun match as well once this is over. Let's not count our chickens before they hatch, though. Keu and Trin still have a long time to give us a really eventful matchup here. Okay, and Trin going for his McLean as well. So far, this is functionally a mirror match. Keu still with access to that Lightbringer. Still with access to Gintoki, who is scary. He does go with the Kyra to help kind of preempt one of Trinhuv's remaining AoE units from coming out. But the thing is, Kyra's not super difficult for McLean to assassinate. Now that said, maybe Keu has one of those really well-built fixed immune Kyras, plus she'll be under Landius Aura, so maybe it's a sneakier trap than what I'm used to fighting. Wow, and Trin leaving up Lightbringer for a last pick too. Gets his Adank Elmo. Likely a single target Adank Elmo, since we have a lot of anti-AoE on Keu's side. The Rosen, strong anti-AoE unit. The Kyra, strong anti-AoE unit. The Landius, good anti-AoE unit. So Keu is going to get a double tank, plus Rosen, plus Kyra team. This is looking fairly similar, functionally, to the team that he won Game 1 with. Trin is going to get Liana with Lando tank. And then Polly, McLean, and Adank Elmo. That's kind of a variety of units here. I'll be interested in seeing what the actual game plan shapes up to look like. Lots of Lando buffage. And the players are now going to set their positions, their troops, their skills, and then we'll take a look at the deployed heroes and see what they went with. Yeah, Meow, that's a good point, although on the other hand, we did see Keu's McLean kill a full McLean under Landius Aura in Game 1, so maybe he's just assuming he's going to do the same thing. We don't get a timer on this part. It's kind of a neat function. I just noticed that if I move my mouse back and forth a lot, it makes the cursor huge. That must be a Mac thing, to make it easier to find your mouse if you've lost your pointer somewhere. Seems like an Apple thing to do. Alright, so what do we got? We've got Keu. I mean, there's not a lot of variety potential for Keu's side. Everything looks pretty normal there. We're seeing lots of Guardian Infantry on both sides. Okay, we've got a full single target with Fireball here. Ah, interesting. No guard, but we do have the push skill. Push. So that's one advantage of the early ban on Hilda, is Landius is immune to displacement, but the push could potentially open up, especially later in the game, pushing someone out of position to make them easier to kill later on. I did not happen to notice in the previous games if this Rosen Seal is on electric headwear or not. Which would give a little bit of extra anti-displacement. I have a feeling she's not. Alright, with both teams playing tank ball boxes this time, we're going to have some more jockeying for the middle of the map, and then Keu is going to be hoping that things turn out a little bit better for him. There are no Gren Shields around to make any big sneaky plays. There are no AOs either. So it's really going to come down to, like, these McLeans assassinating stuff. Both teams pretty competent healing. Trin's side heavier on the DPS. But he does need to open up an opportunity to put that DPS to use. Fortunately, he brought opportunity makers. He has Polyol, who's looking to open something up. He also has Act Again on this Liana, who's potentially opening something up. Hello, LW Gaming. Thanks for the update. So it sounds like Ichiao defeated Kazgao 2-0. Up Appa also advanced 2-0, so it'll be Up Appa against Ichiao next week. That'll be a really good match. That's two strong players who both dominated their opponents this time. And then we're going to have the winner of this Game 3 against the winner of the other Game 3. Which, according to Meow, last time he checked, was looking to still be Autorun, probably. Although I'm sure we'll get an all-caps update in here from Freed again soon as something else interesting happens in that game. I didn't even notice that he said D-Heart failed to kill Loston because it wasn't in caps. Yeah, Autorun gonna win that one? Okay, so... not super surprising, but we are now looking to see who Autorun's next opponent is gonna be. Early breeze on that McLean. Probably a little too early. Don't you just love units like that, like Joa, who exists solely to be killed? Gintoki loves units like that. Well, this is a good chance to tell you to consider following and subscribing to the channel, either on Twitch or on YouTube, because I'm going to be presenting the semifinals and finals matches next week as well, so you're definitely not going to want to miss those. Lots of nice high-quality PvP. And of course, we'll probably be starting up the next season of the revived Summit der Langrisser after the playoffs end. That is up to Straw, who organized the tournament last season, but if it happens, I'm going to be streaming matches. Kyra creeping up. Let's not forget, while she still has all of her teammates there, she is still a long-range threat as well. Keu very carefully moving in here. We're maintaining his position. He's playing a very similar game to what he played in Game 1, of lining up a few tiles ahead of the fog and then just maintaining his position. Basically forcing Trin to either come into range and make a mistake, or stay back and wait. Trin opting for the stay back of those two options. Yeah, that's always a real sad thing when Gintoki's alone and needs his stacks, but he has no one to sacrifice. Kyra just inching up, no sense in taking a crack at anyone. Alright, it sounds official. Autorun wins 2-1. Sounds like Jayden put up a really good fight, though. I think that's the match I'm going to put on next, once this match is over. I'm going to text Mrs. Kong and see if she wants to order some takeout. And then we'll go right into the next match. Yeah, Meow, you're right. So far, all the other 3 games, it was the predicted or favored players who came out on top. So rip to anyone who made their bets hoping for a big upset win. Okay, Polyol gets a little breeze up here. Whether that is necessary or not remains to be seen. Well, those are some nice stats on that Poly. We'll see if this is enticement to get Kyra to try something. Okay, so Kyra's getting a miracle buff here. A little bit of plus damage from that. Was Autorun versus Up Appa in the finals last season, or did they meet on the same side of the bracket? I forget. For some reason, my mind is remembering that they met on the same side of the bracket and then Appa fought someone else for the finals, but I could be wrong about that. Okay, Meow's saying it was finals. Alright, Keu's still with tons of backup time because he's basically just lined up, buffing up his team, making a real nice insurmountable little fortress here. Trinhuv's going to have to be careful about not running down his backup time like he did in Game 1. That was probably a factor in his loss. Okay, so, I mean, Keu's McLean can just counter those tiles if he wants to. He's going to come in. It looks like he's going to make another assassination attempt. Oh, and it's successful again. We thought Trin was going to be a little bit more careful about that this game. On the other hand, he doesn't really need to worry about it as much because he has more follow-up, more options this game. So we're now getting the Act Again play. Polyol back in action, ready to threat. McLean still with a life left. Remember, Poly can push. So can potentially push someone into... like, push this McLean out of guard range, for example. He's at least got Keu thinking of what the next move that's coming is. He only has Kyra to act. Kyra, who could potentially finish off this McLean's second life, for example. Yeah, banning Trinhuv's Grenshiel was a good adaptation from Keu. Alright, she is going to go for the second life off the McLean, and she does get it as well. So Trin's McLean is down. Keu's entire team is still looking fairly healthy. And like Meow said in the chat, the only real play for this Poly is to get this McLean out of water so that he can be killed. That will at least kind of even the tides. Especially since this McLean is only one of only 2 of Keu's DPS. He's still in water here. Oh no, it's going to change into polytiles, isn't it? Yeah. Alright, so a couple of options, assassination targets here. I think McLean's the more important one, since Kyra is going to be nerfed after that McLean dies. Can the Dank kill? If she does, then we're back on fairly even footing. Yep, so back on fairly even footing. We've got a Landius, we've got a healer, and then we've got Polyol up front. Now a nerfed Kyra. Kyra being the counterpart of Trinhuv's Edenkelmo here. So I think Trinhuv has a slight advantage here now. So normally I would say Polly is extended way up here in front, potentially in danger, but the thing is, the only real DPS that Keu has left is that Kyra. And the Polly has a revive, so Keu has to really kind of try to chip through her to get Polly off the map. Polly can also just run back and get in guard range or get healing if Trin wants to keep her safe as well. Yeah, like Meow was saying, Trin still has one thing up his sleeve, which is waiting for Act again to use Polly to push someone else out of guard range and make another assassination attempt. But as the match goes on and the fog closes in, there's less and less space to make a play like that happen. So it's harder for Polyol to get around, for example. There's not as much space to push to or from. So it's certainly looking like we're going to go into a mid-DPS confrontation here. One nice thing for Trin's team, at least, though, is that he does have some fairly survivable units, and he also has some AoE, so he can keep pelting out the damage if he does get stuck in a middle-of-the-map confrontation. I mean, just because Kyra has lost her additional buff from teammates doesn't mean that she's not still a DPS. Like, she can still ignore guard and do some damage. If Keu holds middle, he'll be fine freed. I mean, yeah, that's got to be Keu's aim right now, is to clog up as much of mid as possible. I think if Trin lets Keu get too much of mid, that's definitely dangerous. But Trin has the opportunity, or the ability, to output a lot of damage, so even if Keu does clog up the middle and it comes down to a DPS war, it's not a sure bet. Yeah, Polyol has already used her sweep. So Trinhuv putting that to good use. Looking to use it again here to help clear out mid as well. This is a great position for Poly because she can kind of push this way or this way as well. So Keu does have to position fairly carefully. Kyra opting to play safe, not try to attack anyone. Trin using the portal to bring Liana into mid here. I mean, Liana's kind of the only target for this Kyra. But she's under guard, under Lando aura. She has some damage reduction from her Highlands. Okay, so a little bit of a net gain on damage from the Lightbringer there. That's fine. Yeah, I've done that a lot, Meow, where I've had portals up, and then they're in the way of really good playmaking, and I've just, like, teleported over Hell's Creation. But sometimes I accidentally teleport, and it ends up being for the best. Although losing mid position, probably not going to work out for the best for Trin. Alright, he is going to take a pop at that Liana with Kyra. The results are pretty much as expected. Polly could take an LB life, if that's the goal. We also have Act Again up as well, so... Okay, we're going to sweep. Both units out of mid. The only thing is that that doesn't... I mean, it gets them out of mid, but it doesn't get them out of guard. So Keu is still able to clog up mid by bringing his Rosen Seal back up. And the Act Again doesn't enable any killing plays. push is down now for a couple turns as well, and Trin is going to be teleporting out of this spot. He's going to be looking at only having one spot in the mid if he's not careful. Too early for me to judge whether that was a misplay on Trin's part, or if he just wanted to get it out of the way, or if maybe he should have hung on to it till next turn and done something else, like just poly crack into this Lightbringer and take the first life off. That might have been a better play, but we'll see what Trin decides to do with it. He's a good enough player that I don't think he makes simple Kong-like mistakes. He's now getting into the backup time danger zone, though. Okay, so the portals are now a non-factor. Liana hopefully going to try to survive this. Ooh, just barely manages to survive that thanks to the fort. And Kyra teleports into that last spot up there. So, I mean, a Dankelmo can throw down some more portals to kind of help get back into position, but then he's going to run into the same problem that he had with the portal. Well, I guess he won't necessarily, because the fog will eat one of the portals. Yeah, nope, this is a pretty bad looking position for Trin now. He's got a couple units in. Push is down for 2 turns. This Liana's probably toast. So what are some moves that Trin has available to him? If Polyol ends her turn here, she's going to end up, like, in one of these spots. She could use her turn and then Liana in a final death-defying act use act again just to get the push cooldown back, knowing that Liana's toast. You know, like come up here and act again. Well, I guess if she ends her turn there, then she'll be down here, so... Oh, Liana's gonna act again the Lando. And Trin's backup time is gone, so I wonder if that was an auto move? Okay, Polly's now out. Lando's gonna just hang there. This Polly cannot do anything. Yeah, no, the portal's still on Landius, which means that, okay, Keu is going to mercifully take that portal, which means that this Dankelmo's dead. But, like, if anyone had moved onto this portal, because the portal's still on Landius, they would have teleported into the fog. It would really be frustrating for Trinhuv to lose the game because of his own portals. Landius is just going to stand. He still has like 3 turns to stay alive and keep the damage advantage, which I don't know, that's a tall order with just a Landius. Your healer's going to be dead here. If only Polyol had her skills up. Like if Liana had AA'd the Polyol instead of the Landius. Gaming Rentner, welcome to the chat. You are right at the tail end of this stream. Well, not the stream itself, because there's some games to potentially watch replays of afterwards. But you're right at the tail end of this game, that's for sure. Alright, Liana with her parting breath turns Landius, at least temporarily, into a healer. Trin is really going all in, hoping that Landius is going to be able to solo carry the rest of this game for 2 to 3 turns. Keu's team in really good shape. Everyone's full, everyone's miracled up. They can all do damage, they can all hit this Lando. I mean, Adenk Elmo there just putting up more of a damage lead, which is fine. Oh yeah, no, I don't see Landius surviving 3 turns with the likes of that. Putting up a damage lead is fine, but your Landius has to be able to live. I honestly think that Trin's whole team just dies here now. Polly has nothing. Landius at half health with 1 revive still has to survive turn 10, 11, and turn 12. He's dead. Well, thanks for the sub, Gaming Rentner. Ooh, Lando. Kyra can still get him here. So there's the first life. Yeah, no. Trin's not going to let that one play out. It was over. Wow, so Keu wins that one 2-1. And with that, Trin is eliminated, and Keu is going to go on to face the several-time champion Autorun in the semifinals. So here we have Autorun, Keu, Uppa versus Ichiao. Let us. We were going to watch Autorun versus Jayden Nelson, weren't we? So very quickly, I'm going to take a quick break just to top up my beverage, and then we'll be back to watch a replay of this match. So everyone hang tight if you're interested in seeing what at least Freed made it sound like it was quite a dramatic match. Jayden Nelson taking a game off Autorun, pretty impressive. So we will take a quick look at this match in just a moment once I come back with new water. Alright, my friends, I'm back. Yeah, chat, definitely Landius and Liana in mid would have been ideal scenario for Trin, but it ultimately came down to that goddamn portal sitting in the mid, making it so he couldn't just end his turn there. He had to move around. He had to move out. And of course, Keu could easily move onto the portals. No disadvantage for him to do that. Not even debuffs, because he had Rosenseal. So, let's hop into this Autorun versus Jayden Nelson game and watch it on replay mode. Won't take nearly as long as the Trin and Keu battles because it is not happening live, so the actions will all be replay mode actions. Jayden with the first pick, Oboro here. Alright, both sides going full DPS mode. Full DPS mode. Okay, Autorun does get a 5th pick Lightbringer. But Jayden picked Grenshiel in advance to prepare for that. Okay, we got Sword Soul on this Z2. We got the old Mass Attack Black Hole. Alright, and Air Slash on Autorun Z2. Well, let's see how this goes. Oboro running to his safe place. D-Heart catching a breeze right away, though. Jayden backing off as much as he can, trying to spread out. But D-Heart going to open the proceedings against Grenshiel here, taking a kill. And running back rather than stunning anyone. The Lucretia not able to kill it. The rest of Auto Team gonna creep up. Okay, Lucretia finishes that D-Heart off now. That's a good trade, though, for Autorun. Getting rid of the Grenshiel at the cost of 1 D-Heart. Grenshiel was one of the threats to Autorun being able to tank with Lightbringer, so that's fair, definitely, to target her. Oboro will be the next big threat if he manages to get him transformed and into the action. That's really just for damage on the Zerida, because pushing her back doesn't do too much to change her positioning. She can just teleport in if she wants to. Autorun going to be looking at the opportunity to kill Jayden's Zerida with his own Zerida, so she doesn't revive. Oof! Reactivating Gintoki in style. Alright, just in time for Autorun to come deactivate the reactivated Gintoki. But Jayden's gonna get his Oboro out. 4-stack, fully transformed. And that's a kill on that Gin. Autorun still has Zerida, for now. Although Jayden's Zerida could take care of that. Yep, that's what happens. Ooh, the Oboro barely surviving, 700 hit points. Lightbringer's first life is down. Procs ice, but Oboro's immune to it. Okay, Lightbringer's second life is down, and Autorun is left with just McLean here. And that is an easy combo kill for Jayden Nelson. Takes game 1. Pawn Langrisser. Yeah, it's going hilariously fast, considering it's in replay mode, and considering the game that we were just watching was a fairly slow-paced game, all things considered. So Autorun with player 1 this time. He opts to bring up Elaine and drop McLean. No changes on Jayden's side. Autorun playing the Rosen strat this time. Rosen with tank. Jayden looks like he's going to be going all in on his DPS team again. Even gets AO, 4th pick. The other picks, all characters that we saw... Did Jayden have McLean last time? I don't think he did. Either way, lots of pure DPS from Jayden's side. Interesting. I like to see players playing that style right now. Lightning Strike on the AO. And then double single target on Lucretia. Lightning Strike, presumably a prediction of what this Landius was going to look like. So let's see how it goes. Hello again, Gaming Rentner, in many different formats. Alright, so Jayden sending his Oboro off to his safe space again. Made excellent use of him in game 1. But we're kind of cheating and know the results. So we know that Autorun must have an answer this time. So let's see how it plays out. McLean aggressively playing forward. Getting a breeze on Polly as well. Well, the Keu cheering squad is going to be pretty pumped about his victory, I'd say. It'll be very interesting to see Keu going toe-to-toe against Autorun next week. Alright, D-Heart, happy just to take that first McLean life and then move back into guard range. Not like it's gonna matter because McLean ignores guard, but is not enough to take out this D-Heart. So McLean is just easy pickings way up here on the front line now. Plenty of options to get rid of him. Polly jumping into the action, looking for a stun kill on this AO in the fog. Doesn't stun the AO, stuns the golem instead. And AO just plasters Polyol with meteors. But that's why Polly has a revive. Okay, Gintoki going for the big Gren Shield kill here. And AO gets counter-killed. But there's going to be an interdimensional clone coming back through that portal soon. Lando's first life is down, though. So this clone needs to get a kill within the next 3 turns in order to turn into a real Awakener. Autorun's team is in fairly decent shape, though. So this is one of the things you can do when you have Rosen and a tank against an AO, is basically just wait out the revive. Or try to. Alright, D-Heart getting this golem kill from the fog to reactivate his Gintoki. Who can then kill Oboro, and we basically just have Autorun versus a clone now. She's gonna try. She's gonna try to get a kill. With reduced stats, that's just not happening. She only has 1 turn left to live. Gintoki's gonna go for the kill against it anyway. Puts it out of its misery, instead of letting it linger till the next turn. And we'll move on to game 3. Alright. So Autorun brings up Sissy White. Puts D-Heart back. Autorun as player 2 here on the same map again. We see that so often, game 2 and game 3 using the same map. So Autorun banning the Rosen Seal here. And I have a feeling I know what we're going to see. We're going to see Oboro, Gintoki, McLean, D-Heart, Lucretia. Oh, Watham. Yeah, so Jayden Nelson again going all in with 5 DPS. First pick Gintoki. Really committed to first picking Gintoki, even though Autorun hasn't been running real, like, stall-type boxes. It's basically just been a tank and a bunch of DPS. Although it sounds like this one is where things started to go off the rails a little bit with some Joa and Connie chaos. So let's see how this game plays out. Could be an interesting one. Oh, D-Heart interesting, brings Calamity here. Faction buff. Oh, D-Heart bringing the faction buff for the Oboro. And for Autorun's side, we do have an Air Slash lost him. He doesn't need Guard Ignore because there's no tank on the other side. And then, yeah, this Joa and Connie, who I'm not super familiar with, but let's see how they go. Yeah, Cobra, I was just looking at some of the replays of the other matches that happened. Particularly the Autorun versus Jayden Nelson matches, since Freed was emoting in all caps in here while the game was on, so I wanted to see what was going on in this game. Jayden Nelson notably playing a very aggressive all-DPS box in all 3 games. And he's going to be opening the proceedings here with a Watham charge, as we've seen Watham do to great success so many times. He's going to be able to teleport in and go up and get the kill on the Zerida. Okay, Autorun has turn advantage though, or turn priority, so he can come down here. Oh, I thought he was just going to hang with the tank, but he wanted to go up after Watham. After picking up his first revive ball, but unfortunately he loses another life. And Watham is able to finish off the Zerida, barely surviving in the process. So yeah, the Zerida's down. And Jayden's Watham is still alive in there. Okay, so Autorun going to respond with another aggressive move here. Just straight up kills the Adankelmo with his Lostum. And now Lostum's going to book it. Back to some nice comfy defensive terrain. And what are you going to do, D-Heart? Are you going to get counter-killed here? No, you're not going to get counter-killed. You're too strong for that. Alright, Autorun able to easily clean up that Watham though, so now we've had Watham and Adankelmo dead on Jayden's side. Autorun has just lost his Z2. And lost him, barely surviving a Gintoki AoE there as well. So Autorun's just going to regroup with his team. Get back into threat range. We've got Gintoki in fairly decent shape on the back line. We've also got an Oboro with 4 stacks on the back line as well, though, so Jayden still has some weapons. This looks like an easily dead D-Heart. And lost him. Doing his thing, just running back to safety. Gintoki getting into position to kill Lostum next turn, though. You can see that Gintoki coming a mile away. Alright, let's see what this Oboro is capable of. Oh, he's the one who uses the portal and comes for the Lostum. Alright, that's fine. Get Lostum off the table. That saves Gintoki's action next turn for something else. Ooh, and Gintoki getting the sneaky self-act again thanks to Joa's noble sacrifice into the fog there. So this is going to be a dead Oboro. Oh, he just pushed up a little bit too far to get that Lostum kill. I think that might have been... I mean, obviously we can see in hindsight, being 2020, that that was a misplay from Jayden's side, putting his Oboro that far up to get the Lostum kill. Exposed him to Gintoki act again, and that was a big win con for him. The reason why I don't think it was necessary is because he didn't need Oboro to come up and kill the Lostum this turn. Jayden Nelson still had turn priority, so he could have kept his Oboro somewhere safer than that. Waited to engage next turn. You know, Autorun would have had to use his other units, and then at the start of the following turn, then Jayden Nelson could have made a play on the Lostum, either with his Gintoki using Ice Cream to get in and reach him, or using the Oboro on that side once he had a little bit of a better lay of the land, you know, once he saw where Autorun's Gintoki and Joe and Connie ended up. But instead, he really wanted to get up there and kill that lost him right now instead of waiting till next turn, and unfortunately it did cost him his Oboro. So the game's not over yet, though. We do still have Gintoki, and he's juiced. But now the Gintoki's silenced. His stacks are going to wear off next turn. Autorun does have a tank, and he does have a long-range attacker as well. So this Gintoki can only just run around, stand somewhere, watch his stacks burn off. Yeah, and Connie's able to come in and finish him off. That's an unfortunate finish for Jayden there, for it to feel like it came right down to the wire against the former champ. But very well played on Jayden's side. It's very interesting to see a full DPS comp go all out like that in this meta and actually have some decent success. So yeah, that was an exciting one. And with that, I think there are a couple other games to watch, but I think I'm actually going to call it because I forgot that I haven't eaten since lunch, and it's after 8 o'clock in my time zone. So thank you everyone for stopping by and watching the streams. It's always super fun to stream PvP for you guys. Thanks once again to everyone who followed and subscribed during the stream. I'll once again plug my community post about buying Bozel for my FreeKong account if anyone wants to generously contribute towards completing FreeKong's entire allowable hero collection. Bozel is the last character that FreeKong's allowed to get. He's the last freebie that FreeKong doesn't have on that account yet. So check out that community post if you're interested in contributing, donating, or gifting a Bozel to good old FreeKong for some more hilarious FreeKong antics. And with that, I will catch you all again next weekend to stream some more PvP. So thanks for coming out. I'll see you then. Happy Langrissing, everyone.